Doamnelor și domnilor, bună seara!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Laurențiu, PACHIU, moderator of this panel. Thank you for your presence. The topic of our panel is related to two regions which are close by but not neighbors. They are divided by the Bosphorus. So we are talking about the Black Sea and the Aegean Sea regions. Obviously, right now, worldwide, we are witnessing a process of shifting towards a multi-global world whereby collective security arrangements are no longer widely preferred, with various countries preferring regional security solutions, either that or singular power centers, and we see that in the energy security field as well. So despite the fact that apparently between the two regions, namely the Black Sea and the Aegean Sea, right now there are no formal arrangements in the energy field, we appreciate that there is potential that should be explored and capitalized on. And here I am talking first of all about the joint goal of the countries in the region, namely to identify alternative energy sources, and here alternative to the Russian Federation, to increase interconnectivity, to promote the transition to green energy processes, and last but not least, multilateral cooperation frameworks, for example, cybersecurity. It is my privilege to have today in the panel a wide range of experts, which is difficult to acquire often because we have experts both from the private and from the public sectors. We have Mr. Lóránt ANTAL, who is an experienced member of the parliament. Right now he is the head of the Energy Committee in the Parliament of Romania and of the Committee for Industry and Services. He is distinguished not only for his very active activity in the Parliament, but also as an entrepreneur before shifting to a political career. Then we have Mr. Symeon, who is the founder and head of a Greek think tank, the Delphi Economic Forum, a person who is very active in terms of strategic thinking, a member of different chambers of commerce with the USA, Hungary, and Egypt. Then we have from Romania, the executive branch. This time we have Mr. ANDRONACHE, a vice president of the Romanian Energy Regulatory Authority. He is a person with very significant career in the public sector. He was chief of cabinet for different ministers, including the Minister of Energy, then a member in the management of public-owned companies in the energy sector. Then we move to the public sector, where we have Mr. Alessio, who is a CEO and country manager of the PPC group in Romania, that is the largest integrated energy company in Greece, which has had a major merger in Romania right now and is in full expansion process. And then Mr. Ondrej SAFAR, who was recently appointed CEO and president of Romania. At the same time, he is a vice president of Concordia, the Association of Business Owners. Now I want to challenge our panel members to attempt together to identify synergies in the energy field that can be capitalized on so that in the two regions, the Black Sea and the Aegean Sea, we should be able to initiate processes that strengthen alternative sources and routes of energy, especially natural gas. Maybe identify the means for the countries in the regions to better cooperate in the field of energy and energy infrastructure, to identify possible solutions to increase network resilience, for example, their physical protection and cyber protection. And last but not least, especially when we look at what is happening at the Black Sea, how can we ensure maritime security or transport and energy infrastructure? I will start with Mr. Lóránt, ANTAL. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Congratulations to the New Strategy Center for bringing together important people and facilitating such a discussion between countries and important representatives in the field of security, energy, and of course in the field of politics. I should start by saying that, well, I can't leave aside my politician hat. Immediately after presidential elections, I believe Romania has sent a very strong message regarding her participation in the European Union and NATO. Recently, I made a statement saying, welcome back to the Romania of normalcy. That is important, and the good results of this democratic process, that is a strong signal, a incentive to continue important projects in the field of energy as well. The Black Sea is a very important region and quite at risk nowadays. We know very well that in 2022 Russia attacked Ukraine, and then we've seen a huge energy crisis across the European Union. In full energy crisis, Romania, however, had an important role because indeed we became energy security providers, and I want you to recall that moment before the war started. We all know that Romania, through Transelectrica, had a very important role by connecting the energy systems of Ukraine and Moldova and so on. And that is a key moment when it comes to our role as energy security providers in the region. Now, the Black Sea. Yesterday, during a discussion, I mentioned that for quite a long time, it was more important for Romania to make the Black Sea more important for others. But of course, due to the diplomacy or due to the strategic partnership with the United States, we managed to obtain from the American administration a document, the Black Sea Security Act. And due to this document, to this process, basically we made the Black Sea a very important region, not only for us, but for the USA as well. You know very well that the Black Sea, starting 2027, will start the natural gas production through Neptune Deep that will make Romania the largest natural gas producer in Europe, which is an additional reason why the security of this region is extremely important for Romania as well, of course. What I can say, looking back at the past of our region and looking at the European map, we can see that in the past 20 years, I would say that the Western Europe, especially in the energy field, chose deals or cooperations rather in the western part of Europe, not necessarily including the eastern part of Europe. And this is why Romania chose a pathway enabling Romania to cooperate with Greece, enabling Romania to initiate cooperations with Italy. And we know very well that in the past 20 years, when foreign companies have come to Romania, and not only, but in Romania we have seen privatizations regarding the energy distribution grids, natural gas grids, contracts with different companies or countries. Now we can say that Romania has managed a healthy cooperation with companies in Greece or in Italy. Due to such cooperation, if we want, we managed to become a region that works actively and successfully with these countries. Now getting back to the natural gas production capacity through this platform Neptune Deep that will turn Romania into the largest natural gas producer in the EU. It is important for us to understand that together we have that challenge to make interconnection more functional for larger transport capacities, both for energy, for power, and for gas. The energy crisis I mentioned in the beginning of my intervention showed that at EU level we are facing a problem in terms of interconnectivity. Another conclusion would be that quite for a long time the public narrative here in Romania has maintained that the energy system in Romania is a disaster and everything is nice and beautiful in the Western Europe. Now the energy crisis has clearly shown that we are not the only country that should massively invest in the distribution systems, and we are not the only country that was facing interconnectivity problems, because, however, in previous years, when we think of transport and system operators, Transgaz and Transelectrica, we have seen massive investments in the transport network, and we've seen significant investments in the connectivity with neighboring countries. There were important decisions for the energy security, and as I mentioned, Romania has become an energy security provider, supplier. In the end, when we speak of energy security, I used to say, and I think we all agree, that energy security also means national security. And when we speak of energy security, I like to say that energy security needs three very important pillars. The first one, essential. You need to have the capacity to produce energy in order to speak of energy. Then you need energy distribution and transport capacity, so electricity and gas networks. And last but not least, you need a capability to defend such critical infrastructure. I believe that from this viewpoint, Romania is in a good position, and that should be encouraged and developed. Given the current geopolitical situation, we must understand that in order to defend the infrastructure, we need to invest massively in the cybersecurity. We still have to work a lot here together across the EU, because we do have the hardware, but today the hardware needs to be defended with tanks, but also with cybersecurity actions. I like to say that an internet attacker doesn't need a passport, doesn't need a flight ticket, because they can attack critical networks or infrastructure wherever they are across the globe. So we must understand that development in distribution and critical infrastructure should go hand in hand with investment in cybersecurity. For the beginning, that's all. Thank you, Mr. ANTAL. Very interesting, and I liked your focus on cyber defense, especially given the current situation where every week you see European countries subject to cyber attacks. I will move on to Mr. TSOMOKOS.
Concentrating a lot of information at the level of your reputable think tank. Do you have any thoughts about any plans that aim to materialize what has been discussed intensively, including at the level of the 9 Seas initiative? What would be the plans on the short term to develop the North-South corridor, energy corridor? What do you see as being concrete steps that can be engaged at this moment to develop this North-South energy corridor?
First of all, thank you very much for this kind invitation. The Delphi Forum is not yet a think tank, but because we organize a number of satellite events as well in Washington, in Brussels, this year in Berlin, in Paris, we try to collect as much information as we can about the energy situation, EastMed, what is happening. Of course, before I answer straight to your question, I think no security without energy, which is the title of our, there are certain phrases that while often repeated, I think they have not fully understood. Security without energy is one of them, and I think this is not only a slogan, but this is the cardinal rule of geopolitics in the 21st century. I think we in Europe, we have spent much of our last 3 decades behaving that energy was a commercial affair and a matter of price indexes and interconnectors. But however, this is not truly, this is a matter of sovereignty, as my co-panelist said. So I think perhaps we need to, today the Black Sea and the Aegean seas have become the pivot points of this strategic realignment. There are no marginal seas. There are front lines, as you know, where the arc of instability meets the promise of resilience. I think in the Black Sea you have the Romanians Neptune deep project. Bulgaria has planned the LNG expansion and Ukraine's energy grid resilience. If you speak about this north and south, these are the most prominent projects. And of course in Greece we have the FSRU in Alexandroupolis, in Revithous as well. And I would say that these are very important geo-economic interconnectors which help tremendously the independence of energy from Moscow. So I see those projects to be extremely important. There is next week actually a very important meeting at the borders of Bulgaria and Greece, trying to connect all the ministers of energy in the region, trying to discuss a little further this project. So my view is that we need, if you like, a kind of a strategic plan in order to integrate all those important projects in the region to a strategic plan that will help the interdependence of the energy sector from other sources. So I would like to stop here and perhaps come back to more questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. TSOMOKOS. I will now turn the floor to Mr. ANDRONACHE, Vice President of the regulator. Thank you.
Da, se aude? Gata. Bună ziua, în primul rând, și
Good afternoon, first of all, and thank you for inviting me. Indeed, we can't develop a security strategy without energy. That is the engine that keeps any society running, and what we see, what connects us is the streets or the highways connecting countries, but at the same time we have the invisible networks, the gas and electricity grids that connect and move the economy wheels. If we look at the region, we see bridges across borders and countries. If we look at the port in Greece, which is a very interesting point, the terminal in Alexandroupolis. At the same time, we are interested in pipelines, interconnectivity. We know very well we have very good interconnectivity with Bulgaria in terms of electricity. We have 4 lines, 400, they work great. And we also know that the electricity prices for the 3 countries, Romania, Bulgaria and Greece, everything related to the next day price, that is very similar, that is interesting and should be food for thought, because when we have lower prices in the rest of Europe, we have bigger prices in this area. That means we need a bigger production. Hopefully we will slowly manage to achieve that after 2027. Since we are part of the large networks, we are connected to the large European networks, we see that the Republic of Moldova and Ukraine, after having been accepted after the beginning of war in March 2022, that was a strong and heavy work, and what would be normally a 2-year process was achieved very quickly for their connectivity to the European network. I am very responsible when I speak of the development of the gas and electricity network. Before getting here, I was CEO to the Transelectrica. So I know what I'm talking about. So for the Republic of Moldova, the only 400 line interconnecting us and the other smaller lines, 110, will have now more capabilities, and we will be able to create a ring of 400 capabilities that after the approval of the project in Stresheni, up to Gadalin and Gutinaș, that will go upwards to Suceava, then Bălți, create the 400 line from Suceava to Bălți, going down to Străjen, and another 400 line that will be very helpful for the Republic of Moldova. We need to develop another line with Ukraine in the northern part, Cernăuți, and we see the line Roșior-Mocacevu that works very well, a 400 line. The system in Ukraine should be changed because they function in 750 to 350. Different from the European network. Transelectrica now has modernized many stations. We have 81, of which more than 60 were retrofitted and re-equipped. If we move on to gas, we know very well, and that is very helpful because in the forthcoming period we will need gas, and the gas to be exploited in the Black Sea, Neptune Deep, will provide gas for the plant in Ikea that we expect. The 2 turbines, 750 megawatts, were brought in Romania, and they will be assembled at the end of this year, maybe next year. We need to start with the trial, the testing period. We will need that will require very high gas consumption to reach full capacity. We expect 3 billion cubic meters together with the new Romgaz plant from Iernut that amounts for about 30% more than the current consumption in Romania. Right now we are consuming about 10 million cubic meter per year. Largely we managed to provide this from our domestic production. In 2023 we managed to consume 99% of the internal production of gas.
Foarte bine că
We also look at the fact that the gas needs to get to these areas of consumption, and I have to congratulate the TSO Transgaz that is almost about to finish the line in Tuzla to Podișor, and has also started works with a 54 kilometers route to bring gas from Brua to Mintia. We also speak of energy security. In cybersecurity, we know very well that there have been a NIS directive that has become NIS 1 because NIS 2 also appeared, and the directive that was transposed in 2018 in December in Romania as well, that also had implementation guidelines a bit later, published in 2020 towards the end of the year, 2 government decisions. So as we know, that directive, and we also see the importance paid to energy, the main obligation to protect energy, to protect against cyber attacks was energy. And if we take a look to all of these aspects, these are running well, and we have to think of it as a whole. We have to consider Romania, Bulgaria, Greece. Let's consider that we have this interconnectivity, especially when it comes to gas. This is better. We have also the capacity to do this. We have contracts to bring gas from Azerbaijan included. And there has been a contract in that respect because 1 billion cubic meters, this is an agreement signed by Romgaz in April 2023, if I'm not mistaken. So we have these possibilities. We also consider, and protocols were signed to create a continuous current cable. There was an MOA on the 17th of December 2022 between Azerbaijan, Georgia, Romania, and Hungary. In fact, this is a project that has actually grown. They started from 2 countries, Romania and Georgia, with a 1 megawatts continuous current cable through the Black Sea, and now discussions are being held to increase this capacity. This will ensure energy security both for the Georgia-Azerbaijan area, but also for the Romania and Hungary area. We have large projects. These are not done overnight. Transelectrica, for example, has applied on European funds, modernization funds, and has accessed in May 2022 projects amounting to 424 million euro. Projects which represent very important strategic projects, very difficult to implement actually because costs are very high, including the 400 line to close the 400 ring between Gadalina and Suceava and the steps 2 and 3 in the Guanad axis. I'll try to stop and give the colleagues the possibility to take the floor as well. I would have focused a bit on distribution as well to discuss on that because this is the 5th regulatory period. This is a bit more delicate, and if there's something that you would like to add on that, I'll allow the colleagues to present and maybe I'll take answers or questions. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. ANDRONACHE. We're happy to see your full plate. Hopefully, all projects will come to fruition. Now, let me switch to Mr. MENEGAZZO to see the perspective of the operator, a distributor with a quite standing tradition in Romania, ANTAL, and now PPC. Please, sir. Good evening, and thank you for the invitation. Not just a distributor, energy producer, the largest energy producer in renewables in Romania and in the region, along with the PPC group, and most likely the largest energy retailer at this point. Regarding the megawatts volume, we are the largest operator of integrated electricity in the country. Why do I say this? Well, not to brag about it, myself or our company, our group, but for this, well, this was a strategic decision of a company, the PPC group, to invest in Romania for very many of the aspects that the previous speakers have mentioned. The potential is huge. Of course, we speak of a corridor. And that's why we are here and we continue to invest. We have an investment program that is very ambitious on producing renewables, and not just that, investing in networks and grids, digitalization, and so on. Now, I will try to be very pragmatic and practical about it. I won't try to, how should I put this? It's important to talk about the challenges that we are going to face. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this situation. And the reality is very clear, complex, which dictates measures to be taken quickly and somehow with a consensus with all the participants, private, public communities that are the end beneficiaries of the energy sector. So undoubtedly there is an issue regarding technology. The energy sector, especially electricity, has changed in the past years in an unprecedented way. The leap that our sector has taken in the past 10 years, I think, is larger than in the past 150 years, maybe since electricity has been used. We speak of renewables, we speak of storage, digitalization. All of these aspects are happening right now at an incredible pace. And for this, we need flexibility regarding regulations, regarding legislation, and we always need to be up to date and continuously discussing, because if your left hand doesn't know what your right hand is doing, well, It's not consensus, is it? Now, renewables were the first step. Investments in the large capacities happened. We now are facing investments in small capacities, the prosumers that are a consequence of that, and put the energy grids into a certain difficulty, let's be blunt, because you need a lot of flexibility. Now, we can't limit a private citizen or a company from investing in a sort of rendering in energy efficiency. Of course, prosumers, I think, should be better regulated, that is for sure, because the power grid is for all the citizens, for the entire society, not for some of it. So that maybe leads implicitly to a level of digitalization and sophistication of the systems that run a power grid that is more and more complex, that is more and more flexible, and with a need to keep up the pace. Now, we also speak right now of the impact of this digitalization regarding consumption. So it's not just AI that will be energy intensive, and there's an exponentially increasing trend on that. This will have repercussions on the medium voltage and high voltage power grids. The reality is that Romania, alongside Greece and Bulgaria, compared to the other European partners, have together a higher energy price. Willy-nilly, like it or not, this is reality. And this is a matter of competitiveness. Now, if someone wants to invest, they're going to take a look first and foremost, what is the cost of energy? Romania can be an interesting destination for certain aspects, but not for the prices of energy, unfortunately. And infrastructure was mentioned. Let's talk a bit about the market, the energy market. This is, so one of it, the security allows a society to develop in a healthy way. The more robust the economy, the safer the society, the more it can focus on matters of security more and more. In Romania, there is this intention to reform the market that has to be discussed quickly. It's not a transparent market. We have to name names, really. Interventions are ad hoc, sorry for that, just very putting out fires, taken without discussions with the operators that are seeing decisions with a major impact without the possibility to put them in practice properly. And this means that citizens suffer. And we have been going through a regulatory period of 3 years of the energy prices, and come 1st July, that's going to stop. And one of the effects that we can foresee is that the citizens, many of the citizens, won't expect a doubling in the energy prices, because this, for 3 years, has been artificially maintained lower. Now, this created a very high issue of the state deficit, which is one of the most dire issues in Romania. I'll conclude now with, let's not reinvent the wheel, please. One of the documents published by the new German government 3 days after Mr. Merz's government came to office was a document on the energy sector, a roadmap on the resilience of the electricity power grid system, because the German government believes this to be the most efficient measures and a train engine of the growth of the economy in Germany. This is a multi-annual roadmap that is very precise, explaining the vision, what is the role of every player in a very organized manner, as Germans are. But this was one of the first programmatic documents published by a government from a relevant country that is currently looking for a new start. And they marched on electricity based on renewables, grids, and a very clear roadmap. Government, regulatory agency, the system operators, and citizens, and each has a very important and clear-cut role. Now, my hope is that in Romania we'll soon have government. I don't want to say that the next day, because we don't know if something is dealing with that, but maybe in a reasonable time frame to have a similar behavior, because it's about our safety. Excellent proposal, Mr. Menegazzo. Probably we'll see you around the 1st of July. Now we'll go to Mr. SAFAR now. Maybe we can listen to your perspective on the things, the challenges that you're facing, please. Hello. I'm not sure that Romanian is going to pass or go into translation.
During my career, so I started to work in this region in 2005. I was working in Romania, then Bulgaria, then Turkey, and I returned to Romania in 2018. So if I can say something which is really common for this sector in this region is big focus on low prices and protection of the customers. Since I don't have experience in Greece, so I cannot talk about Greece much, but I was in Romania when we keep postponing liberalization, and that was period 2005 to 2012. We are now in 2025, and we have pretty much fully regulated market because we keep protecting the customers. I was in Bulgaria, where our company was running for 7 years project of market liberalization, and the authorities kept postponing that liberalization, and it was always to happen next year, and the market is there still in some way regulated. I was in Turkey, but that's a different story, where it moved from liberalized market in a very short time to fully regulated market. What we succeeded by this in the region is we protected customers against the prices, but in the same time we protected customers against the investments. So we are now in the situation that when I refer to grids, we have cheap grids. We have, if the household customer in EU is paying 34% of its cost for distribution services, in Romania, if I take out the price cap and I will use the real market price, that same customer will pay 24% of its bill for distribution service. So we have a cheap network. But in the same time, and it was said by some of my colleagues in the panel, we have in the region the highest wholesale prices of the energy in Europe, which is one of the consequences of not investing and keeping it cheap. So we keep it so cheap, we so much don't invest in the infrastructure, we so much make sure that we don't incentivize investments, because investments meet cost, investment needs to be recovered, investments needs to be translated in the prices. that we became the region with the highest prices. We as well, for many, many years, we were in each of the country, we were protecting our internal price against the price level of our neighbors. So we didn't build the infrastructure which would now potentially help us to level the prices, to be connected to Central Europe, to be connected to Western Europe, but it didn't happen over the night. It was us in the region which were making sure that our cheap electricity, because back 20 years we had a lot of coal-fired generation, which was cheaper than the rest of the Europe. And I'm not talking about Romania as well. It is the same as Bulgaria, similarly Serbia. Again, I don't know big details about Greece. So we were protecting ourselves so long until we are at the end of the lifetime of these generation assets. And we are not connected to that Europe, which invested massively in infrastructure, that Europe invested massively in bringing new sources of energy. Some were more successful, some were less successful, but they are able to produce more efficiently. And now we would like to connect to that grid. But we keep protecting the customers against the infrastructure within the country. We are talking about investments. We believe as distributors that we need to significantly increase the investments. We have our peers, because each of us has the shareholders which are operating similar assets across Europe. In majority of other countries, we are investing multiple per year per customer. My previous shareholder was in Czech Republic investing 3 to 4 times more per customer in period of 20-30 years. France is investing 2 times more per customer in the grids than we are investing in Romania. Spain is investing significantly more per customer. The outcome of it is it's easier to access the market with new generation, because what it means if you want to connect in Romania, if you want to build renewables in Romania, you need to make the investments which cost pretty much the same, the technology costs pretty much the same across Europe, but you need to invest massively in the grid connection. If you want to connect the project somewhere in Romania, if I bit exaggerate, you need to pay the grid reinforcement cost of almost half of Romania, reconstructing half of Romania of the grid, because this is the cost of not investing for a very long period, and this is one of the barriers for the investors. So which means if you need to pay this money, you need to have higher costs of the energy, because you are expecting to recover the investments, and if you cannot recover it, you don't make the investment. So that's something what in the region, that's one of the few things which I know about Greece. That's one of the things what Greece learned. In the recent years, Greece tripled the investments in the grid. So they are investing massively in the grid, because they know that if they would like to be energy independent, the way is renewables. They know that future of energy sector is distributed production, which means that customers are becoming more independent. So they know that that network needs to be reconstructed, because our networks in Europe was built for different energy sector. But that's really, we need to invest in order to be able to benefit. We are more focused on protecting. We are protecting the customers against those investments, and I'm really afraid that we are going to pay a lot. We are as well, so we are now, as Alessio said, we are now again in the system of price caps, where customers are protected for last 3-4 years. We have ahead of us a very difficult period where we will have to, most likely if there is no legislation change, we will have to step out of that system, and customers will face real prices of energy, and that this might be difficult. We are talking 3 years that we have to protect vulnerable customers. We don't have to protect all. We still don't have the law for a vulnerable consumer. and we have 2 months to go. And that's why we have, and I think this is the biggest priority for all of us, to really define who is the vulnerable consumer, to really put a functional system to protect a vulnerable consumer, and then for the rest of the customers, which they can afford better networks, they can afford the investments, they can afford to pay for those investments. And by the way, we have calculations that those double investments, triple investments, it would represent 2 packs of cigarettes in the bill of average consumer. So we are not talking about anything which is really so massive, because the consumption is not that high in Romania when it comes to consumers. But for small group or a relatively small group of vulnerable consumers in this region, we are blocking the development, and we have to take the courage, and we have to find a way to unlock it and really go and invest and do the right thing, because it's really critical and it's really important. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Safar. So it seems that we have a lot of issues on our plate, and as long as we are facing these material challenges, I think that any discussion about regional projects and initiatives doesn't have a lot of substance. Well, it's only 4 minutes left. I would now like to give the opportunity to the attendants if there are any questions. Please. There's one.
Let me offer.
Yes, please.
Few seconds.
There is one.
Thank you so much for the presentations. What about the nuclear energy? Nuclear energy. How do you see the development? I mean, I know that in Italy they are now overlooking what was decided by the referendum some years ago. The Meloni wants to develop the small nuclear plots. What's the situation in this region?
Any of you?
Before I respond about this, let me offer one point about 2 important projects about this south-north, connection. One is the Three Seas Initiative, which has a very important energy, component. And mind you, at the sidelines of the conference next month in The Hague, the NATO conference, I think the Three Seas Initiative will be extremely important to discuss. The second, we have this important cable, which will be the connection, electricity cable from Egypt to Greece, which is sort of 3 billion euros. It is now in the pre-feasibility studies, which is extremely important. And I think this will add, in the years to come, important aspect. Greece, I don't know about, we are discussing this issue in Toronto when we have the conference. We are a country which is full of, earthquakes. I don't know how important it is. It is important, but I don't know, whether this is feasible or not.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Antal, please, on the question that was raised.
It's related to the nuclear power plants. As you probably know, Romania, we have actually 2 important units. We are producing more than 1,400 megawatts. And we ratified a very important agreement with the United States. So we're going to invest more for 2 more units in the nuclear power plants. But I think that it's very important to underline some informations related by Mr. Menegazzo, because he mentioned about the document which was issued by the German government. And yes, it's a very important strategic document, but I'd like to remember you that years ago, the same Germany said about, for instance, nuclear power plant, that they phased out all of that. And they said that they will not be interested in nuclear power plants. So that's why at the European level, there were a lot of countries who said that we're going to stop all of the investments in the nuclear power plants. Interesting happenings 2 days before, the same Germany now said that actually the nuclear power was declared as a green power. Okay, I just want to mention, to make a mention about another document, the taxonomy actually, at the European level, because in that document, days, actually years ago, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, thanks to the Romanian diplomacy as well, that was declared the nuclear as a clear power source, and natural gas as a transitional resource. So I think that what it's important to understand that we have at the European level a common problem. So related to the investments at the distribution systems, related to the, I don't know, Green Deal, for instance. Because we have a huge demand of electricity. Actually, we all know that the electrification is the future. We have to invest in nuclear power plants. We have to invest in, I don't know, maybe CCGTs as well, because we need base load electricity for the whole industry at the European level. So just again, to remember, from that Germany was kicked out BASF, for instance, because of the energy prices. So I think that, yes, we have some issues in Romania. Yes, we have a regulated market. Yes, I think that at the government level, we took some important decisions fixing the prices. But I think that we are not just an island, just Romania alone. I think that we need to rethink, for instance, the Green Deal as a whole, because of the renewables, we have a lot of imbalances at the electricity market. So I think that, again, we have some issues at the level of whole European Union. So this is why I think that we should put our powers together and to I don't know, to redraw these documents and to understand that, yes, we need we need a tough industry, and we need to invest, from my point of view, mostly in nuclear power plants, for instance.
Mr. Menegazzo?
I really hope that nobody will rethink the Green Deal and the investment in renewables, because it's a nonsense. Okay. It's cheap, again, and it's about efficiency. It's engineering efficiency. Renewables are the cheapest way to produce energy and to give it cheap to the customers. Now, the imbalances are a problem. Like any new technology, everything that comes up new creates problem. It's the industrialization. Everything new comes with a challenge, and our task as humanity is to overcome this challenge. So what happened in the past, happened in the past. What Germany decided in 2012 after Fukushima, it's what Germany decided in 2012 after Fukushima. I like to look at numbers. So, as soon as there will be cheap, available technology for small modular reactor, let's go for it like there is no tomorrow. As of today, it doesn't exist. We only have one example of investment in nuclear in Europe, or in the, let's say, European continent, which is Hinkley Point. The price that this power plant will produce is around 800 pounds per megawatt, 800 pounds or 100, a number that is unbearable. We work with a marginal price, so this will immediately increase the price of energy. The cost of that investment was starting with 5 billion euros 20 years ago. Today is not over and is around 20 billion. There has been 3 companies, major companies, that bankrupted due to this. So, yes, there has to be a mix, okay, but it has to be, let's say, non-dogmatic. As of today, if you look at the chart of Europe, you see that the countries that invested in the renewables are the ones that are constantly providing cheaper prices because they had the systemic approach. What is our problem is that we do not have a systemic approach. And I really hope that tomorrow, starting from today, we are going to have this non-dogmatic systemic approach, because this will make the whole difference. Not the technology, but how we are going to perform. We as person and people that are working in the sector.
Just to answer your question, Romania is pro-nuclear, so generally I think the public opinion is comfortable with nuclear energy. Romanian government through the Ministry of Energy and Energy Strategy believes, and it's including the development of the nuclear units. And this is, I think, this is, let's say, energy strategy is the responsibility of every country. Every country is responsible to really define what is the right mix. There are countries which are reconsider those positions based on the lesson learned, and I think Germany's bet on cheap gas was just we all learn, and all Europe learned that hard way that it was not the right way, and what they are doing is really correction of something which they believed in the moment when they took the decision. I as well agree that renewables are future because they are just cheaper, and we have example in Romania where Ministry of Energy organized a bid for CFDs, and there were investors ready to invest with the CFD price 55 to 75 euro for PV. It's going to be very difficult to build a nuclear power plant with such an output price. So it is competitive. In the same time, if I'm running the steel factory, I need 300 megawatt base load. I'm not really convinced that I would like to have next to me just photovoltaic and wind, but that's something where the future will show us whether we are really able to have such a capacity of batteries, such a balancing systems that even the steel factory with 300 megawatts base load need would be peacefully getting the energy from renewables. But that's something which is ahead of us. There are many things which energy sector really needs to answer when it comes to the technological development, but definitely renewables in this moment are very competitive, and they are going to be important source of energy in future.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid I'm being pressed to terminate the work of our panel. It was a great pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much. Extremely interesting. It's not easy, as we have noticed. I also thank the auditorium, and I wish you to have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much.